Hi, I'm Jennifer Sir, owner of the Sewing Room, where we teach fashion and sewing to enthusiasts of all ages. In this Business of Fashion series, I'm speaking today with Kendall Zundel, owner and founder of Lou and Elle, a SoCal inspired handbag company. Kendall is a designer, and she started Lou and Elle as her way to marry some of her favorite things: travel, community, and giving back. Always inspired by this SoCal lifestyle, the bags are mindfully made and embody a relaxed yet playful wanderlust vibe. Lou and Elle donate a portion of all retail sales to Baby to Baby, which provides children in poverty with the essentials and basic necessities like formula and diapers. I'm excited to talk to Kendall this morning, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi, Kendall. Welcome to the Sewing Room.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited you're here today. I'm excited to learn about your business. Um, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started with Lou and Elle?
Yes, I started off as a clothing designer. I went to college, I got a BA, and then I decided I wanted to get into the fashion industry. So I went to FITM and got a design degree, and then just worked in the fashion industry for about 15 years until I started Lou and Elle, which was definitely, it started off as just a very side project, a little side hustle. And I would work on the weekends and I would work after work during the weeks. And yeah, and then it just slowly became its own entity. And now I'm doing it full time.
That's wonderful. How long have you been producing bags?
6 years.
6 years. And after being a designer, why did you choose bags?
So I love to travel and I love to shop for vintage. And so I had collected all of this fabric, like these textile fabrics, like just interesting things I'd picked up along the way. And they were just in a pile, not doing anything. And so because I have that degree from FITM, we learned pattern making in that school and sewing. And I actually had learned sewing early on. My mom put me into a class when I was about 14, I think. So I didn't know a lot, but I knew the basics. And so FITM really just allowed me to build upon that. And so one Saturday, I guess I was like bored. I needed something. I was just, coasting along and work, just fine. But I needed that entrepreneurial, what is that, like outlet, right? So I needed something to just like spark that. And so I was like, I can just make something really basic, easy. Like I know how to do that. So I created a very basic pouch pattern, like rectangle, and sewed up, cut out the fabrics I had collected, sewed them all up. And I think I did about like 20. And I took them to the boutique, a local boutique that I had frequently stopped at. And I brought them in and I was like, what do you guys think? Like, I've created these things and they were all different. And they were like, yes, we'll take them all. And I was like, okay. And so that's just kind of how it started. And it was just very organic. And I didn't put a lot of like money into it at all. Like in the beginning, I just kind of like sewed as I could, like when I had the time. And then I would present it to this retail shop, which I still sell to. And I just slowly grew that wholesale business. And then I like developed the e-commerce side of it and yeah, did a lot of markets.
Do you have your product manufactured or are you the sole maker?
I do now. Once I had a baby, I decided I needed to really outsource that part of it just because it took up way too much time. And I knew that in order to grow and to expand the business in any capacity, like I needed help. So yeah, now I have everything manufactured, which is nice. Yeah. but I definitely put in all that work in the beginning. It was a lot of
Absolutely.
hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. So were you making the more complicated bags as well, or did that come more when you started to do manufacturing?
I did. Okay. So I started off with a pouch, and that's like definitely easy peasy. I would sew those in my sleep basically. And then I created a clutch, which I would sew myself. And then, I tried, I started, I created, a tote bag, which I had sewn up a couple. And then I was like, this is too hard for my machine. It's just, I needed a more industrial machine to handle the thickness of the leather. And so I actually had outsourced that out, while creating all the other styles. But I had found a lady in LA, and her and I just did a lot of work together, and she would just sew up these tote bags. Like, she was much faster, and so it worked out. And so that was my first taste of outsourcing, which was with a very like small independent woman. And then yeah, and then it just slowly kind of branched out to more outsourcing.
And so are you still manufacturing in Los Angeles, or have you gone overseas or out of state, or how does that work now?
Yeah, no, now I'm in India. So I actually had created a lot of special relationships while I was a clothing designer. So I was able to reach out to them once I was ready, and continue the partnership with Lou and Elle.
That's fantastic. Um, you were saying you're doing it full time now, so that's your full-time occupation?
Yes, yes. When I have the time. I mean, I actually I mean, I'm like I mentioned, I'm a mama to a 2-year-old. So I fit it in now, like, which is wonderful that I have the space to do this, but I fit it in during nap time and after, at bedtime. And I wake up now. We were talking about this early mornings, but now I wake up at like 5 a.m. just so I'm able to get some things done in the morning. So yeah, I still just fit it in when I can.
That's amazing. Um, so I guess my next question is, so at what point in your career or business did you decide to devote all your work and time to it? Was it just after you had your baby?
Um, well, that was definitely part of it. And then I'm starting, there's a little two parts to the business. I actually do a lot of manufacturing for other companies as well. So I kind of manage that. So once that started to ramp up, I had it was like more financially secure, right? So that I was able to really launch off and just do my own thing and just concentrate solely on that.
That's great. I'd love to hear about your manufacturing business as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I just I do a lot of private label for companies, and I have the capacity with the factories that I partner with to do, larger quantities, and they're good prices. So, yeah,
That's
just something I figured it was nice to have in addition to Lou and Elle label.
That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's a good balance. You have some creative stuff and a
Yeah.
good business mind, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Try.
So, I think you might have answered this a little bit already, but what kind of help did you seek out in the beginning when you were starting Lou and Elle? Sounds like manufacturing help is probably the
Yeah.
first step. Did
Yes.
did you seek funding as well, or were you able to do it all self-funded?
I did seek funding through a family member. So I was able to get a little bit of funding through that. And then my husband and I were able to fund it personally as well. So yeah, fortunately I haven't had to look for that yet. I feel like I'm getting closer to that point where I'm going to need to start maybe seeking out some of that help. But yeah, in the beginning, it was really manufacturing just because like I only have 2 hands. And so I was only capable of so much. So really it was just needing to delegate that out. And then obviously, it was a little while later, I would say probably about like 4 years into it. I was like, okay, well, the social media thing is important, and I'm not able to give it a lot of time. because I was also still working full time as a designer as well. So I was like, okay, I need to outsource that as well. So I had that outsourced for a little bit. I now do it all myself, but it's something that, or not all myself. I have help with Pinterest, but yeah. So in the beginning, I got help with that as well. Yeah.
That's great. Your bags are gorgeous, by the way. I love your
Thank you.
fabrics. Um,
Thank you.
do you source your fabrics in India now as well, or are you still buying vintage fabrics?
I source in India, and then I'll like send them inspiration and everything from what I've gathered, and they'll send me things that they may have found in the market or that they could produce, So yeah, it's just kind of a little bit of both.
Awesome. Um, how do you balance being a business person and a mom?
I don't know. Oh, that's hilarious. No, I'm just kidding. Um, no, it's definitely it's hard. Some days is very difficult, but some days it's just great. And I feel so blessed for this life and that I'm able to do like what I do from home, and I can work with him and like raise him. And so yeah, I feel very lucky that I'm in this position. But some days I'm just like when I'm especially stressed or there's a lot going on, I'm just like, oh, but I think it's I don't know. I somehow it just works. I throw in some TV every once in a while. I hate to admit it, but it's just the way it is. And if Mama's got to throw some emails out or something, so yeah, I haven't, we just moved up to the Pacific Northwest about a year and a half ago. So
Wow.
I know, and we didn't really know anybody here. So yeah, I haven't looked into help with him yet. I've got him into like a program once a week that it gives me 4 hours of like dedicated time. So that helps. But yeah, so I think eventually I'm gonna probably seek some more,
More childcare.
childcare. Exactly. So I'm just working towards that. It's just I'm slow moving sometimes in these kind of situations. So it eventually I'll get there. But yeah, right now I just work where I can and fill it in. I get a lot of help from my husband when I can. He works full time, obviously, but he's he works from home. So he's able to like pop downstairs for like a longer lunch or something if I can take care of something. So yeah, I mean, I just kind of figure it out. So I just figure it out. I don't know.
That's
Not
great.
really a formula.
Yeah, I did that for a while with my daughter. When she was really little, we had a nanny for a very short time. It was, I think, during 2008. So it was really hard. Like my husband needed extra time. Like we just couldn't afford it after a while. So I had to work part-time, and he would watch Emma, and then he would go do jobs, and then I would watch Emma, and would just balance it. And it was just, it all worked out in the end. And we eventually got her into preschool, and then she was into school all day long.
Yeah.
And there's more time in the day eventually.
Right. That's what I hear. I know it's just the season, I know this. I'm just trying to just do what I can. But yeah, childcare is so expensive. I'm like, oh gosh, it's hard
Yeah.
to justify it sometimes, but I'm sure it's very important. It is, but yeah.
You'll get there.
Yeah, I'll get there.
What insights do you have for designers just starting out?
Mm, mm. Okay, so I would say I have a couple things. I would say one, which was a huge one for me, is just learning to rest instead of giving up, right? I think it's really easy just to like, oh, it's not working. Okay, throw in the towel, whatever. But I think it's important to just, take the time you need, just give yourself some space and grace and just, rest basically. Because, everything is, you can figure everything out, right? So everything has a solution. You just kind of got to ride with it. And then the other thing, which is something that definitely took me a long time to get through, and I still work with it for sure at times, but I would say to separate your self-worth from the product success, right? Like the two are not connected, and it's important to not take things so personally, and just know that just because something is not working out does not mean that you're not a good designer, or that you're not a good businesswoman, or, whatever it is, person, like, it's important to separate the two. So
That's great advice. Both pieces of information are great advice. I think we tend to neglect, when we're thinking about starting a business or being a designer, we don't really always see the emotional part of it, but it's really important to see like the whole person. And as creatives, you definitely need to be able to step back and just have a breather, and then also have enough time to problem solve and figure things
mhm.
out. But
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that, like, this definitely has been, and like, I've been in therapy, and like, starting a business is like a whole nother set of therapy, right? I mean, and you just have to like work through the emotions, you have to work through the problems, like you said, like, you just have to feel the feelings, and then, step out a stronger, more knowledgeable person, right? And it's tough emotionally and definitely physically, but yeah, it's a lot, but it's worth it. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What's the best way for people to find your products?
My website is luandelle.com, luandelle.com. And then you can find me on social at luandelle, luandelle. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks
Yeah.
so much for speaking with us today, and I love to getting all your insights into your business. It's so nice to get this sort of very wholesome, whole person view of what it's like to be a business owner, I think, and all the different things you have to juggle. So I
Well, I
really
love what you're doing. I think it's really important. And I
appreciate.
appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, have a great day.
You too. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays right
I
back at you.
was gonna say happy Thanksgiving, but I was like, how long do we,
Right.
continue that on for?
So yesterday, my friend sent me a happy thankfulness week message, which I thought was
Good.
okay. I can be thankful all week long.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's easy.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful for you. So
Oh,
thank you.
likewise. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. What a great conversation with Kendall about her business, Lou and Elle. Let's just recap a little bit, because I think I learned a lot just from talking with her, and some of the things that she said like really drove it home for me. So first of all, she started with one product. She had one product with one pattern and many different fabrics. And I think that was a great way for her to start. It's a great strategy to see if something's going to work, is just to try to sell one product and then grow the business from there. So she also started slowly. She did it as a side gig while she was working full time as a designer. So also note that Kendall went to fashion school and had a career in the fashion industry before she started to do her own business. I think this is really super crucial, because you learn so much from designing for other people, about the business side of it. The business side of it is so different from the creative side, but also the creative side is married to the business. So it's super important to go get your design degree, work for someone else, and then start your business. Um, and she grew it. She grew it into her full-time gig, but then also simultaneously, she had the product side of her independent business life. And then she also has a manufacturing side. So when she was able to start manufacturing and developing relationships with the manufacturers that manufacture her bags, she's also able now to work with private label designers to help them with their manufacturing. So she has like this creative balance between working on her own product and then helping others with theirs, and that the helping others with theirs really allows more income into the business so that she can maintain the creative part and grow that business. And then she had some really terrific insights for designers. that address the emotional side of being in the creative world. And the first one was to learn how to rest. Oh my God, it's so important to just rest and recuperate and rejuvenate and go on vacation or even just go for a swim. I used to do all my problem solving in the swimming pool. When I would go for a swim and then suddenly something would click off. Once I sort of turned my mind off and I was focused on that creative or that physical experience, I was able to then think about some of the things that needed problem solving. So I thought that was great. Yes, to learn to rest and rejuvenate, even if it's just going for a walk around the block. And then she also told us to separate our self-worth from the product. And that is so difficult sometimes because you're so invested in what you're making and what you're creating. But it's so important because it's just one little part of us, it's one thing and it may not be the right thing that we need to be doing at the moment. So if we're able to sort of separate from that and look at who we are as an individual and just keep those two things separate and don't take things so personally as far as your business stuff is concerned, I think that's really a really good piece of advice too. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Kendall this morning, and I really look forward to hearing your comments. So if you like this video and you want, you can hit the thumbs up button and hit subscribe. It really helps us out. And if you're interested in our fashion studies program at the Sewing Room, please visit our website at thesewingroomalameda.com/fashion-studies, all lowercase. Have a great day, and until next time, happy fashion.